album Folk Hop and Roll out 2 years now. Congratulations on this incredible record.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That you have that does something very unique. I mean, it combines folk and hip hop and rock and roll. It's one really cohesive sound that you have. And I would imagine that didn't happen overnight.
No, it didn't.
No. How do you find the balance? How do you know when you have that balance right for a song or half of a song? How do you know?
Yeah, I just think like with our influences, and I think Nate kind of hit on it earlier, like where people were kind of confusing us with Mumford & Sons kind of starting out. I think like as an artist, there comes a point where you become secure in yourself enough to actually make something that is totally you and not trying to be like anybody else. And I think like especially when we started back in college, it was like, oh, we have a banjo and a mandolin, and this is the way that other bands that have a banjo and mandolin sound, so maybe we should sound like this. And then you spend 200,000 miles in a small van and traveling 300 dates a year for a couple years, and you discover that Nate is very influenced by EDM and metal and punk, and grew up with his parents in the Colorado Symphony playing trumpet and piano, and somehow ended up with a banjo. And I grew up just like loving dance and hip hop, and just like the way hip hop music can bring a room together, and just like people can just be dancing, and that's just so fun. And also my mom's side was just like super into REM and REO Speedwagon and Tom Petty and Queen and all these amazing rock bands. So I really love like the songwriting and the passion that like that you hear in a Queen song that just like makes you want to sing it. And then Brian, is kind of one of those kids I like to think of just like as a 5-year-old. He just goes to the piano and he's like, ooh, I know how this works, but was really influenced by like Billy Joel and Ben Folds and great piano players like Elton John. And you kind of like just discover that. And these guys are bringing in different influences as well. And so it's just like we wanted to make a sound that was more us. And I think with Folk Hop and Roll, it's more of like in that the next step, and in our hopefully the record that we're working on this summer is going to be another step into closer to who Jude and the Lion is, and not trying to be like anything else. And so it's like chasing each song, like you said, is really fun. And
you've said before that the live performance is really important to you to have it as a shared experience with the crowd. Was that something? Was there a show, either three of you, early on saying, wow, you connected with that performer when you saw that live performance? Was there an anecdote or a story that you can have to share about that?
I think Chris Martin from Coldplay is somebody that I, as a frontman, has always kind of aspired. His like interviews about like shows from like a theater to like an arena to stadiums, is his philosophy is like make eye contact with everybody in the room. And so it's kind of awkward, right? It's like if you're doing it now, but at a show, it's like the thing about music in a show and being in a band is you're on a stage, and yeah, you're on a platform, and people are coming because they like your music. But also it's like it's such a human connection. It's like if you're connecting with songs that are coming out of like our hearts, and somehow that's connecting with your heart, there's just like this beautiful human thing that happens. And I think Chris Martin does it so well, is he writes these very accessible songs, but is so determined to have that human connection, and it kind of like takes away the stage a little bit. It's like, no, we're singing these songs together because we're human, and we connect in that way.
And when did you start doing the T-Pain Booty song on stage? Yes. When did that happen?
I feel like Nate should give a little tutorial on
all things to pain,
the booty work. Come on, Nate. Come on. Come on, give us a beat, Troy.
There we go.
Let me see that booty work, boo 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 booty work, booty work, boo 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 boo. Now go ahead.
That's pretty good. Very vulnerable here.
See, normally, hi. I just feel like.
Hey, you want to share the mic?
Yeah. Normally, it's just the three of us, and it's like more awkward. But the fact that the whole band is here to
You feel protected.
It was nice. And I just want to say, like, you taught me that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My aunt taught me at Thanksgiving.
I've just always been inspired by your ability to drop it low. And that's what I learned the most from you.
Thank you, Nate. That's so sweet.
Also, you're a good
Are we
guy.
having like a moment here?
This is a
in front of
moment.
all these
felt really
people.
cool.
Sound Lounge moment.
Oh man, my family parties. I grew up in the kind of the classic Southern tight knit family. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing from y'all's perspective. It's a good thing from my perspective, but yeah, we would always have like Thanksgiving would start with serious conversations where my uncle or my aunt was giving crap to my uncle for bringing like another girl every other year, you know, like and then they would end up fighting, and then we would finish with dessert, and then all of a sudden my inappropriately dancing to like hip hop music. And so that's kind of the way we've always wanted our shows to be. It's just like it starts off with like real conversations, hopefully songs that mean something, but also can be like lighthearted. And you guys can see
Right.
Nate's butt.
I think it's my greatest asset.
Pun master. Well, Nate, I think if you put your banjo case in front, you might find a couple bills at the end of the performance today. Just saying.
I was really hoping that somehow some money had already snuck in
I'm
there.
just saying. Well, we got some time.